Let's talk a little bit about Green Bay Packers versus Houston Texans. And I mean a little bit because we talk a lot of Packers on the show.
Sure, sure. Do we have to go too much in depth on who's going to win? I think we both think the Packers are going to win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that's an obvious one, but what's more interesting than that is how, in my opinion, how Green Bay, they're really good, but then when they lose, it's like
it's spectacular.
They get a punch. It's a spectacular loss. It's like they've never played before. It's a really bizarre thing. They did it 3 times last year and once this year already. I don't know what that is. I couldn't tell you.
Credit Tampa Bay, and it's a shame that Green Bay had to play Tampa Bay coming off a loss, and I would consider, I said this earlier in the week, an embarrassing loss where Tom Brady, thought it was 3rd down when it was 4th down and he lost. Tom Brady's going to come back.
So that's one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to him. And then here comes Green Bay, right? I get you.
Yeah, and then Green Bay coming off the bye week. Everything has broken right for Green Bay so far this season.
Right.
And Tampa Bay, what does Green Bay want to do? They want to run the ball. What does Tampa Bay do fantastically even since last year when their defense was bad? They always stop the run. And what I thought was interesting about that Green Bay-Tampa Bay game, it was that Davante Adams was back, so we saw a little bit of over-targeting Davante Adams because Aaron Rodgers gets him. And those 2 picks, the pick 6 and then right after the near pick 6, which obviously turned into a touchdown. First of all, that was the game right there.
Sure. That was it.
At that point, and then they gave up a late touchdown in that half. At that point, it was game over.
Before that, the Packers were looking like they did all season. They were humming. They were up 10-0 easy.
Yeah.
And then here comes a pick 6. And then I don't know. It's like you can't say Aaron doesn't know how to play from behind. He does. He's a baller, right? But something about the past 2 years where if they get a punch in the mouth, they're almost shell-shocked, right? I don't know what that is. Is it coaching?
Maybe. I mean, if the Packers for a decade have been a team that has won, mostly has won going away, especially when Rodgers has been healthy. They've had some ugly seasons where he hasn't been healthy for a long time and all that, but what I found interesting specifically about Tampa Bay's game plan, though, is they were ready for Davante Adams. And I haven't figured out, we've talked about this, is why is he always so open? Davante Adams,
that's
right?
That's a great question. He's the best player. How can he be open all the time? Is he just that good or I don't know.
It's always these back shoulder outs like what Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson used to do. It's always these little ins and full field crossing routes. And so I've always wondered why don't defensive coaches just crash these routes and make Davante Adams beat you over the top. Make him do it because we haven't seen that in a long time where he's just been dominant over the top. I think we got more of that back when he had Jordy Nelson and all that stuff, and he was the secondary wide receiver just running. We haven't seen that. And so what Tampa Bay did, I thought, especially on those 2 interceptions, is they're we're going to have 2 people on Davante Adams on the slants and on the outs. We're going to crash up, and we're going to make him beat us over the top. I haven't seen a defense really try to do that to Green Bay in a long time, outside of maybe San Francisco. But Tampa Bay was ready for it. They had a great game plan, and Green Bay just didn't have an answer. And I feel like maybe it was a little bit of a trap for Rodgers to have Adams back.
Yeah, a little bit, possibly. And maybe they start feeling themselves. And Kenny Clark was back, the defensive lineman, and we've been the even without these guys, and now we got them back, and nobody can touch us. And And I don't know, maybe you overlook sometimes the psychology behind it. Maybe you don't practice as hard. Maybe you just assume you're better. And so then this is the result of a Tampa Bay team that was pretty pissed off and prideful from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Because they got players, man, and they got speed on defense, and they're just as good as any other team in the NFC, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a handful of teams that have shown me 60 minutes of football, both defensively and offensively this season. Green Bay and Tampa Bay were 2 of those teams. Tampa Bay is a Super Bowl, a threat to get to the Super Bowl this year. I don't think they will, but they are a threat. They're legit, man.
I agree.
They're legit.
I agree, 100%.
And they've been banged up offensively. They're not even full boat offensively yet, and the defense is just so much better.
Let me just say something. Jamal Williams, the running back for the Packers, made some comment about Brady and how stupid he was.
Stupid. I saw that and I was like, "Oh boy, our quarterback knows what fourth down is what he said."
Right. As soon as he said that, I thought we just lost.
Yeah,
we're gonna lose this game now.
Yeah,
I literally thought that.
That was the dumbest thing to say.
That was the dumbest thing anyone's ever done. They should fine him for it. All right,
it's taking a step back, Packers fan.
Okay.
That was stupid. I saw that. I was like, "Oh yeah, Tampa Bay won."
Dude, you don't. Some of these guys, man, you don't poke them. You know, you don't poke Jordan. You don't poke Brady. You don't poke Aaron. You don't poke Russell Wilson. These guys that can turn it up with just the slightest bit of motivation.
Yep.
Oh yeah, all right. I'm stupid. Okay, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how stupid I am.
I'm stupid with all my Super Bowl rings. I'm an idiot. Okay.
Yeah, you don't even start on your own team. Come on.
So talk about Houston real quick. I like the way this team is playing. Jamal Williams, moron. I got a tweet. I'm going to tweet at him. And he'll ignore me. Houston Texans. I like the way that they're playing, man. Since Bill O'Brien's left, I feel like the weight's gone off. They had the lead against Tennessee, they blew it, but Tennessee's really good. Houston, this just isn't the season for them. They're 1-5. They have to go at least 8-2 in the last few games to make the playoffs. It's not going to happen. DeShaun Watson, I think he's a baller. I like the way he's distributing the ball to Cooks and Cobb, and obviously Will Fuller has been playing great. David Johnson, I don't think he's a long-term answer at running back, but I like that they're committing to the run for them. So I like this team. I've liked them all year. It's just
I know, me too.
Bad deck stacked against them to start the year.
Kind of got away from them.
I mean, they've had to deal with Pittsburgh. They've had to deal with – I can't even reel off all the teams, but I know Pittsburgh and Tennessee, two undefeated teams they've had to deal with. I know they played Minnesota.
They've had the schedule from hell.
They had, and I can't even remember – they started with Baltimore and Kansas City.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Like they'll go on a run, and they'll finish – I bet you they'll finish with like 5 wins or maybe even 6 wins, but they're not going to do enough to make the playoffs. The most brutal stretch of any team that I can remember playing schedule-wise – finally they get over the hump, and then they got Tennessee to deal with. Now they have Green Bay.
Right. Now they have Green Bay.
Off a bad loss for Green Bay.
Yes, exactly.
I've never seen a circumstances. Their only win is when the team was loose without Bill O'Brien. Like, I've never seen a rougher start to a schedule.
I know. That's painful.
Just brutal. Look, here, let me hit you with the line here. Bovada has Green Bay -3 versus Houston. Who you got?
I like Green Bay. Easy.
Yeah, off that bad loss, man. Aaron Rodgers, 2 picks in a row. One's a pick 6, one gets down to the 3-yard line.
I actually think they cruise.
I think they're going to crush Houston, who I don't think is a bad team. But it's just like, what else can go wrong? It's Murphy's Law with these Houston Texans in the schedule.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, these poor Texans. But the good news for the Texans fans here is your draft pick is going to be better than it should have been, because this team is better than their record is.
Good call.
And next year, with the proper coach, and by the way, if Houston gets a guy like, in my opinion, like Brian Daboll to coach from the Buffalo Bills, or if they get a guy, and I think Daboll would be the better fit, but if they get Arthur Smith, who is my favorite offensive coordinator, they get one of these guys to coach that team next year, they're back in the playoffs again.
Sure.
They got talent everywhere, man. It's just been a CF. A cluster flip of the scheduling for them. It's just been
a cluster flip.
Anyway, let's move it on. We got